Hi everybody, it's Christina and thank you for joining me. So today I thought we'd make this style of card. So for this I've used a pennant die and I've found a backing that goes with it. This is a circular die and this is just a little square die. I've found a gold butterfly and I've used a sentiment from another set to create my little banner. So for this card I thought we'd do it in different colours and different shapes. So what I've done is I've found dies that will cut me a shape, but another die that will also fit around it to create the frame that goes there. So I've got a long banner, a short stubby one and a circle, and we're going to do those in different colours. So for this card I thought we'd do all the large outer dies in silver. So we'll put them on there. And we'll cut those in silver, and we'll also add a butterfly. So we can cut all those out in silver, and then for the other pieces we're just going to use some plain white card and add our own decoration to it. So there are my pieces cut, and now with these I'm going to cut some more. The only difference with this one is with the butterfly I have found some holographic card, and so I'm going to cut that shape out with the holographic. So with the layering shapes and some white card I'm going to cut these pieces out. So I've added all my shapes to a sticky mat, and then with some blending inks, a blending brush and some inks, I'm just going to go over all of these shapes. So make sure that they're well blended. The colour that I'm using is Shaded Lilac, and I'm just using an ordinary blending brush to get those colours in there. So now we need to make sure that those are completely dry before we go any further. So once your panels are dry you're going to go over them with some anti-static, and this is just talcum powder. Makes your card smell really nice. And this is just an old container that I have had for years, and it just keeps enough talcum powder in there for me to brush over my card. Now what I'm going to do now is, this is done in stripes, I'm going to do some different stenciling on each one of those to make them look different. So for this one I'm going to use some flowers, and I'll bring in the sticky mat again and pop that in the middle, and that will hold the stencil still as well. Now with some Versamark and a little finger dauber, or you can use a sponge, I'm just going to go over all this with some Versamark ink, making sure it doesn't go underneath the stencil, so do it very lightly. So make sure we get all the outside done as well. And then once we've done that, we can remove the stencil and we can sprinkle that with some silver embossing powder. So I'm going to take it off my sticky mat, I'm going to pop it on a piece of copy paper, and we'll just sprinkle that over. So for this shape I'm going to do the same with some dots. This is a spotty stencil. So I'm just going to add that equally to the card. I'm going to use the Versamark again and just push it through the little dots till they're all covered. And once they are, we can then remove this, add it to some copier paper and sprinkle it with the silver embossing powder. And again, once that's taken off, we can then heat that till it melts. So for this one I've just used a homemade stencil, and that's just been added to the card like that. I've just put the Versamark through the slats, and then I've done the same with the embossing powder. Now all these are going to be added to their silver shapes, and they are now ready to be done. Now for the butterfly, I created this holographic one, but I didn't know if I wanted it on silver or I wanted it on the blue, so I've done both, and I'll decide that later on. So there are my shapes, and this is my base card. This is just a 5x7 white top folded card. Now also in my stash I have found this decal edged panel that sits on the front, and this one I'm going to put through an embossing folder. So there's my embossed panel, which I'm now going to add to my card. We'll just leave a nice small border around there. So now you can add these to your card however you want them, to make a really pleasing arrangement. And if you don't glue them down, you can just rearrange them until you're happy with where they've gone. I quite like that arrangement. And then I need to decide what I'm doing with the butterfly. Am I going to add the silver to the silver backing, or am I going to add it to the blue one? So this one's been flat glued to the card. This one has foam tape behind it, and that's going over there. Now can you hear the snoring in the background? That's Ruby. She's in her bed at the side of me and she's fast asleep. Now I'm so happy to hear that snoring, because it's not that long ago Ruby was very, very sick. She had severe pancreatitis and we really didn't think she was going to make it. But she did, and now she's here and she's snoring again. And I get so used to the sound of her snoring that I just don't hear it anymore. So for my butterflies I've decided to add all three. So I've just bent the wings up a little bit from the body line, and I'm going to glue these in place. So I'm only gluing it along the body line, and we'll put the blue one on the bottom, put the silver one on the top, and then we'll put the holographic one to the top of that. So we'll just give those time to set up. And for the sentiment I've used my shaded lilac, and I've just gone over some card. I've added my sentiment to the top, and now I'm just going to trim that out. And I will add that to my card with foam underneath. So we can put the butterfly along there, and we can put the sentiment wherever we would like on that card. So let's just put some foam underneath there. So now as a final touch I have this little bubble die, and I'm just going to cut this into the holographic. So once you've die cut these, you can push them out, and then all you're going to do is just add a little bit of glue to the back of them, and they can then sit on your cards. So all I'm doing with mine is picking them up, just adding a little bit of glue to the back, and then dotting them on my card wherever I would like them. So there are my two cards, using just shapes that I have on my desktop. One is done in shaded lilac and silver, the other one is done with chipped sapphire and gold. Both have butterflies on them, and both have used shapes. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please join me on the next one. And why not subscribe to my channel, click the notification bell, and then you'll always be aware when I add a new video. Thank you so much for joining me, it's very much appreciated. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.